Hey everyone, thanks for joining us on this Friday night here at Topic UFO. As for those of you that have watched us on a weekly basis, you'll know this is not our regular night. We had a technical problem back on March 15th when our guest appeared on the show for the first time. And unfortunately, her show did not get recorded. So what we're doing tonight is giving her a chance to get back on and tell her story with a recording this time. We've invoked a lot of backup systems, so there's no way that we will lose the content of this show. Tonight's guest is Eugenia Macer-Story, and she is an author, a playwright, poet, and she also has a lot of things to say about telepathy and the UFOs, Men in Black, just all sorts of different things around that realm. And she's going to be sharing some photos from her books with us tonight. So I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get Eugenia on the phone. Let's check the chat room real quick, see what's going on out there. Impala's out there. Hey, Impala, how are you?
Hello.
Hello, Eugenia.
Yes,
This is Rick Scouler from Topic UFO. How are you?
I'm fine.
We are broadcasting live right now. So, did you have a good Friday the 13th? I hope nothing went bad for you today.
Nothing went bad except I lost the memory stick that I used to transfer things on the computer, somehow carrying manuscripts from room to room. So I hope it didn't disappear. I shall have to find the memory stick. But otherwise, everything is cool.
You actually lost the memory stick, or you lost the data?
No, I lost the memory stick, the physical thing. It's very small. I was carrying it in a stack of papers. It's somewhere. But I thought it was funny that the memory stick should disappear, but it'll be found. So.
Good. Well, listen, Eugenia, I've let the viewers know that tonight is a makeup show. Unfortunately, your first appearance, the content got lost out there in Cyberland, and so you're back tonight graciously. I appreciate it to talk to us a little bit about a few different topics. And Eugenia, the title that we had chosen for your episode was the UFO link to international black and white magic and neo-physics.
Yes.
That's a hell of a title, I must say. But so much of your work, or I guess your thoughts, center around telepathy. I have a hard time saying that word. So what is this connection between telepathy and the UFOs and the ETs that you think is going on?
Well, frequently people will be going to one place and take a turn to another place, and that is where they see the UFO. Or they will have an experience where they feel like they're drawn to a window or something, and they will see it out there. And also, as we all know, after certain encounters with UFOs, people begin to become more telepathically sensitive, and they are receiving communications maybe from UFOs, maybe from advanced spirits, or from their own superconscious, but they become more perceptive, more aware. It enhances the ability of the mental ability of people. And I actually think that may be part of the rationale of UFO occupants or of advanced intelligences who are creating these phenomena to expand human awareness.
Well, yeah, I definitely, the people that I have spoke to that have had, intense encounters or close-up encounters or abductions, they do seem to have this telepathy that starts to take over from that point. It's very strange.
Yes, and there is, speaking from my own experience, there is a difference in quality of the telepathy that one might have between human beings that know each other well, or even human beings in an emergency that are sending out a distress signal, and the actual advanced intelligence. It's a different level of cognition. And one of the things that characterizes it, I believe, is that the advanced intelligence is not necessarily verbal in the same way that we are, because it is telepathically based. So that one of the characteristics of contactees who have had messages, say, that are telepathic or guidance to go to a place, is it may not come all out in sequential form. One needs to ask questions of these people and so forth in order to really get the message, because it's being transmitted as a like a gestalt all at once. So then it becomes sequential in language.
So, one question that I didn't get to ask you during the last show is, what do you think? If the ETs are here and they're visiting us, what do you think the big picture is? What do you think they're here for?
My impression, I had described, and I have in many cases described the UFO sighting that I had in winter of '73. And after that sighting, my overwhelming impression was that it had something to do with the technology that we were using. And I was guided to read various technical books, but I also became interested in the idea that since we on Earth don't know all there is about mass structure, that the nuclear explosions, the atomic explosions during World War II, had worried an advanced intelligence that has the ability to know when the fabric of mass, interdimensional mass, is being disturbed. And I know that there are a number of people who have had UFO experiences who have that same idea, and also the telepathic transmissions of George Van Tassel, the Ashtar Command. That was their theme back in the 50s, that our technology is actually very rudimentary, and we're making a mistake in terms of atomic fusion.
Yeah, I hear that. One question that I had asked a guest last night was, we seem to see different types of UFOs. We see the balls of light. We see the cigar shape, the saucer shape, the V shape. And he feels that, because we're seeing different types of UFOs, that these are several different civilizations. Would you agree, or do you think that it's all one entity that are manning these airships?
I would not use the word several different civilizations, because that leads into sort of a science fiction scenario that on Mars there are people or beings that look like something, and on distant stars they look like something else, or which may be the case. But I think that there is also the interdimensional component of it, and that some of the energy forms that we see, the balls of light or forms changing into other forms, are obviously different. Or maybe they're not. When we see a solid craft, it may be that there is a technology that can change the density of mass, so that when you see a solid UFO craft, it is coming into this dimension, and is briefly solid and then goes out of this dimensionality, which would be why the craft, when you see a genuine one, do not accelerate in the same way that our rockets accelerate. They go back and forth in the sky, and they seem to get very small. Sometimes they're large, and then they get very small. I think that's a change of density. And to understand that, we have to revise our model of mass structure. So to answer your question, I don't think it necessarily means different civilizations in the rudimentary sense. I think it means different uses of the of what is really mass structure, not our very rudimentary idea of what it is.
You know, and you and I have been talking now for what, about a month or more.
Right.
And it seems to me that a lot of your thoughts are around energy, right? This pure form of energy is kind of the basis of all life within this universe, I guess. Is that a true statement, would you say, or?
Yes, it is, because I have developed a model of mass structure that people who think in terms of atomic and molecular structures were taught in school can understand, which is the fluidized matrix model. And in this model, the building blocks of mass have within them another dimensionality that can cause the structure to expand and contract in terms of the density of mass. It is an addition to the electromagnetic system, and I call it fluidized in my formulation because I don't want people to confuse what I'm doing with other structures like the etheric structure and so forth that people have been talking about in spiritualism. I think there are these levels, etheric, astral, and so on, but that's not what I'm talking about when I talk about the energy within mass. It's a living energy, which is why if an intelligence has advanced mental capacities, they can, with their mind, change the form of mass.
Wow. You know, you had mentioned this, and let me see if I pronounce it correctly. It's, is it fluidized matrix? Fluidized matrix. Fluidized matrix.
Right.
And then there was a Dr. Wilhelm Reich that I guess worked around this theory or something?
Oh, well, yeah, it is my theory is similar to Reich's, but different, and I'll explain. Reich was involved with UFOs also. Reich's theory was the orgone theory, and he called this energy orgone. And he also, as I do, have the idea that all mass, that our cosmos is living the way the ancients thought when they thought each planet had its own logos. And that the mind of an individual, a person, or a advanced intelligence can interlock with that and form structures in matter without any machine interference. However, Reich also worked with devices that he called Cloudbuster, which looks a lot like a piece of artillery. It points at the sky, and he would activate this to call UFO intelligences. They appeared in the form of lights. They did come, but the effect that they had on the people who were viewing them, who were with him when he was doing his experiments, was not always totally positive, because whatever energy they were utilizing, the orgone, was having a destructive effect on the living energy system of the people. And Reich called that destructive orgone energy. I think that Reich's mistake is a very common mistake that people make when they study yoga or Zen systems, which is that there is this other kind of energy, which in yoga is called prana. And this is different than electromagnetic energy, and it's also different than the energy of your mind. So that if you confuse the prana with the mind energy, you can get some of the negative effects that Wright got, because the prana is like is a commodity, is a force that can be used positively or negatively, and if you just let it run, it can be negative. As the yoga practitioners know, in Kundalini yoga, they know that if you raise the Kundalini too fast, if you start to consciously activate your energy system too quickly, the chakra system, you can have destructive effects also. So it's that was Reich's confusion. People misunderstood Orgone. He may have in certain cases. I don't think he did as much as his followers did. They equated it only with sexual energy, which is also a mistake in doing yoga. The sexual energy is physical. It's not necessarily pranic, and pranic energy can be made to interlock with sexual activity. So there were problems there with Reich's work, with psychological problems as well. But I think he was a pioneer, and he did manage to have the lights come when he was using his cloudbuster and so on. He was contacting some form of advanced intelligence. My work is different in the way that I believe that this energy informs all mass, that all mass is living, so that it shouldn't be necessary to focus on just the physical channeling of people. You focus on interlocking the mind with the energy which is within mass structure. And these photographs that I have in various books would show effects to the photographs, images which are inserted into what would be a normal landscape and come out in the developed photo or the digital photo, are a mild example of how the mind can interlock with matter. But maybe not deliberately. It is opening the energy flow of the person who is having their picture taken or taking the picture, to let other intelligences, as in spiritualism, also form these energy images on the in the digital photo or on the emulsion of the film.
You know, I'm going to bring up what I have marked as photo number 2. Now that's a faraway shot of this cloud critter or critter cloud.
Right.
Okay. I believe, was this shot in England?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I thought you had said that. Now, so I've got that photo up right now, and then I want to I'm going to change over to the close-up shot here. And
okay.
this is the photo that really caught my eye. Out of all the photos you sent me, this is the one with the dual faces.
Yes, it has many. It's like a little. You can see that the density of the mass there is different. It's like a piece of cloud there.
Yes.
A thick piece of cloud, and it does have these various faces in it. It's interesting that when I took that, there was no intention to take a picture like that. This is in Kensington, England. And I had been looking at Harrods department store because I was interested. I was on a tourist bus, and I was interested in the various things that were there, sightseeing. And I walked around the area. I walked behind the embassies. You can see in the large photo, you see there's a red flag from one of the Arabic embassies that's there. And I just took a picture of the buildings, walked back and took a picture of the buildings. And this was in that picture. There's another picture which is not in the book, which is of Harrods department store, which in the book I mentioned because there is dark energy all around Harrods department store. And this photo actually was taken before the automobile crash with Princess Diana and the son of the owner of Harrods. And I thought there was a dark energy there before the event. But that's
Wow.
different. This is I don't know what this is, but it manifests to show itself for some reason.
Yeah, and I want to ask a question because you're the first person that's really been able to explain this to me so that I can understand it. You know, when I've had lots of people send me pictures such as this, right? And if you talk to a scientist or to some type of medical person that works with the brain and stuff, they will tell you that the brain, is set up in such a way that when the eyes send visual information, the brain will try to construct some type of familiar picture, such as a face.
Yeah, Gestalt, yes.
Oh, okay, that's what that's called?
Yes.
Now, okay, that is one explanation. Now, what you're saying is that whatever is producing this effect, in this case it's a bush, you're saying that it's actually the energy from this bush that's creating the effect.
Not exactly, because it could be in some of the photos the energy of a person or a tree or whatever that's there. I don't know whether the energy of the plant was being used as what happens with crop circles and so on. I don't know. In this, it is a form that is on, these were 35 millimeter photos, which is in the negative of the picture. And so then you have a dilemma of causality. Is this picture actually the physical object? And of course the answer is no. It's an image, and the vibrations of light have created the image on the emulsion. So what happens when an anomalous thing registers on the emulsion is that mind energy has interlocked with this energy, which is within all matter, and has created this image. But it's not necessarily an energy from the plant, because all matter is alive. It could be on another level, an intelligence that was invisible at the moment, wanting to make an effect to say it was there, so that the impulse would be something like, I want you to know that I'm there. So what would come out would not be necessarily like a graphics drawing that this person or intelligence had made, but would be an effect that would say something other is there. This is what I think.
So basically, are we talking different dimensions? Are we talking different frequencies where this energy lies or exists?
Yes.
Okay, I got you. So,
for example, if you would see the spectrum, the light spectrum, everyone knows it goes to ultraviolet and it goes to infrared. All experimentation shows that these pictures are not necessarily governed by what we call ultraviolet or infrared. There is an additional thing within matter which I discussed in the fluid ice, which has a vibratory signature, but it's not exactly the same as the larger mass which encloses it, but it can affect mass.
I got you. Very. Now, how did you come about getting into all of this? Did it all start from the UFO experience, or?
Yes, I have always been interested, since I was a child. I've been interested in the supernatural and psychic things and so on. My entire family is. So that was there. But when I saw this, it was a brilliant light that I saw in December of 73, and it affected my entire nervous system. I had symptoms of shock, and I knew that my energy level had been changed by what I saw, not because I was frightened, but because, like having an electric shock, something had changed my energy level. And in that context, I just became very curious about technical systems, and I had ideas about prana. You see, because of the effect on my body, I started to think about how I could work thoughts about prana and this type of energy into the technical systems that we use. And as I did this, I made my own formulation. It was fluidized right from the very beginning. But then I found that certain scientists, Kosyrev in Russia, and our scientists, Hal Puthoff and so on, were working in physics with this idea, but not exactly my idea. They were not. I guess Kosyrev, yes, because he was studying sorcery and so on. He had more of the idea of how a sorcerer moves their own mind into mass and can change mass. And I think our scientists experienced this, according to some Puthoff's narrations, but they were a little bit skittish about talking about this because they had scientific positions, tenure, and so on. But because I was coming into it as a person that had experienced this, but I had, training in writing and communications, I was in a better position to be able to start to discuss these things.
Now, keeping along the lines of the energy and the mass, you also feel that there are certain locations that are more conducive to UFO activity?
Yes, I do, and I've gone to some of those locations. I feel that the gravitational signature is different in those locations, which does two things. It does change the density of the mass, and it changes the time signature, because what many people notice in their UFO sightings is that time is different. They lose time,
right,
or however it happens, time is different. And in these locations, that is also true all the time, because the gravitational signature is different. If you could display number 8, which is the UFO ring from Oak Island.
Oh, okay. Right. I am got that up now. So this is the orb ring looking photo.
Yes, this was taken by Brenda Greenslade during the time that she spent on Oak Island, which was the same conference at which I spoke, the same expedition that I went to that area, which has a different gravitational signature, which has been studied by the Canadian government in Mahone Bay and in various locations, which spread out from there, Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. It's called the Orpheus anomaly, because at one point under the sea, there's a tremendous drop down, like the descent into hell.
Wow.
So, and it has never been fully explored by oceanographers, but this was taken with an ordinary digital camera on Oak Island, looking out toward the water there. And we've called it the Serapis Ring, because it apparently has little angles. And Brenda Greenslade had been interested in Hermetic thought and in magical thought, and it was as if it was appearing in that way. But so there's that. And then there is the Leprechaun, which was also an Oak Island manifestation, which is, I think this is number 5.
5, yes. Okay. I've got that one up. Now this one I have a hard time seeing, so you'll have to explain this one a little bit.
Okay, I'll explain this, and then we can go to the close-up there that I pulled out the section that's circled. This is a flash of energy on this. These were 35 millimeter photos, not digital photos, And as we entered the area of Oak Island, which is a restricted area, there's a chain across the road so that only permitted vehicles can go there because it is an unusual place. As they were taking the chain off the road, I just took a photo to document where we were, when you can see the water there and so forth. And on this photo, like a flash of energy appears with this pink. And then there's a little face. I've called it the leprechaun. It's because it has a green hand. But it could be a nature spirit of some sort. Could you show the close-up?
Yes, let me pull that up. Okay.
Now you can see it a little bit more clearly. On the mid-left side of the circle, you can see a little green hand raised. And right against the background of the trees there, you see a face. There's a face in the tree.
Okay, I see it.
And one of the things that has perplexed people about Oak Island is that there are intelligences there. It is haunted, so to speak. Some people have gone a little bit crazy because they feel they're pursued by demons there, but people have camped out there and so on. But it doesn't always take that form, but at any rate, there is a presence there. And I think what the presence is saying here is hello, or you may pass, or however you'd like to see it.
Now, just so people know, this Oak Island is where the money pit is, right?
That's right.
What's your thoughts on the money pit?
Well, when I visited there, which was in '07, it was pretty much destroyed by endless excavations. My opinion is that there is a very ancient structure far down under where Oak Island and Mahone Bay is, which may have been sunk when this Orpheus Canyon in the sea also shifted. There's the shifting continental shift there. And that there is an access downward to it, which may have survived the shifting or may have been placed later by another some mariners that knew that it was there. And what it represents, if you look at the original architecture, not what's been damaged, is an ancient cistern, such as is found in Mycenaean architecture, and you also find it in the British Isles, Ireland, and England. These cisterns, in Glastonbury Abbey, they call it the Great Drain. There is a shaft that goes down there, and it was used if seafarers wanted to come back, they would use that as a water containment. So what the pirates did, and the pirates were in there and they built structures, there's no treasure there, or maybe not pirates, refugees or whatever, they used the structure of the cistern that was already there because it's like a tunnel underground. But I don't think the original purpose of the shaft was treasure.
Well, I've heard some people say that that possibly the covenant of the Ark is buried there.
They have all sorts of theories. Some very interesting books have been written that compile all of these theories. They say the original works of Shakespeare, the Ark of the Covenant, everything. I think what people sense is that something culturally valuable is there, not just ancient doubloons and pieces of armor and so on, but that there is something like an ancient architectural structure down there, that it's not just that someone pulled their ship in and threw the treasure they'd marauded or something down into there. It's that there is something there that has significance, cultural significance.
Yeah, that could maybe answer some questions about our lives, huh?
I think so, in the history of this planet.
Exactly. Now they've tried to excavate this pit many, many times, and nobody can do it, right? It just keeps filling up with water, and it's just impossible, I guess. So,
That's right. That's why I think the theory that it was originally a water containment device is pretty substantial. Although now so much has been destroyed, they don't have the same thing happening. But as when they were doing the first excavations and going down there, that is right. They'd get down to a certain level and they'd excavate past it, and the next day the water would be up. The water, it's designed to contain water.
ah, okay, gotcha. Maybe it's some type of takeoff site for undersea UFOs or something. I don't know.
Well, there is a book, and this is not about Oak Island. It's about another location, which is in the Orpheus anomaly area off Newfoundland in Nova Scotia. It's a book by Chris Stiles and Graham Sims. It's coming out in June. And Chris Stiles has also written a previous book about this. There are UFO-like objects that have been discovered on the sea floor there.
Right.
But there is also, as I mentioned, the great depth. There are also other aspects to that area of the sea that have attracted the Canadian government's attention in terms of oceanography and so forth. It's very interesting. Something is there.
Well, it sure seems like the Canadian government is a lot more open-minded than the U.S. government when it comes to these type of things.
Yes, they are. I had an interesting incident when I went to Oak Island, and then I was coming back. You show your passport at the airport when you go through security. And so the guard was, it's very sort of non-committal, and they ask you your occupation and so on. And I said, well, I'm a writer and a psychic. And he smiled broadly, and he said, yes, we know.
Really?
Yes. So, well, I had been there, and there had been like a convocation where I gave a talk and everything, but he really let me know that the government knew what was going on on Oak Island. So it was interesting.
Yes. Well, listen, let's change gears here a bit, and let's talk about your views on the MIB, Men in Black. What's your thoughts on that? What's your thoughts and theories on that, Eugenia?
I think that there are two or more versions of Men in Black, and a review that I wrote on the reissue of Gray Barker's book, Men in Black, The Secret Terror, is in the issue of UFO magazine, which is now out. It's issue 158. And in that, I do make some of my opinions very clear on this, in that certain incidents, Men in Black, that Barker describes can be explained by access to technology which was in Germany during World War II. And by this, I don't mean the conventional circular aircraft you see. I mean voice transduction technology. People were receiving phone calls supposedly from UFOs during the 50s in German accented computerized voice. And that was thought to be part of the Man in Black phenomenon, but it is actually true, as I detail in the article, that this type of voice transduction was being developed in Germany by a certain scientist who was Jewish. He escaped and was working after the war at an institute, I believe, in New England. So I do say that, but there are also certain of these incidents which cannot be conventionally explained. There was a person named Hopkins, a Dr. Hopkins, I believe in in Maine in 1976, and I mentioned this in the review. The Men in Black appeared to him, three of them, and they were very threatening, and they said, you must burn all of the data of this particular person. The doctor's a psychiatrist, and he'd been studying someone who saw UFO phenomena. So he had tapes of interviews with this person and so on. And they said, you must burn this. So he did. And one of the reasons he did was that the being showed him that he could dematerialize a coin that had previously been in the doctor's pocket that he held out on the palm of his hand. The being looked at it, and as everyone watched, the coin changed density. It disappeared gradually. So I almost said photographs, the tapes and the files and so on got burned. And I say in my review that if you look at this from historical perspective, had those not been burned, they would have gone to a certain analyst whose feedback on contactees, in retrospect, is questionable. His analysis is questionable. So it is possible that an advanced intelligence knew that. So it's very interesting. Some of these cases cannot be explained that someone had access to voice transduction equipment. They're both things are going on.
Well, when it comes to World War II and the whole Nazi thing, and I've heard people say that the Nazis had some type of inside information. They were very much into the occult. Where do you think, because their scientists were so far ahead of ours at the time, what do you think gave them, or how did they get this information, this knowledge?
Because there is a tradition in Germany of occult science, and they were making some of the same discoveries, but with equipment and ability to actualize some of these things that I had talked about before. There was a society that the German scientists had, which was called the VRIL Society, VRIL, and VRIL was to them this energy, like fluidized energy, and they were working on these systems. They were studying occult systems and telepathy and reincarnation. They went all over the world to study shamans, Tibetan monks, and people in the Hindu tradition who had unusual abilities. They were studying this at the same time that others in the German government were building craft. So there was a sense of communicating with beings in other dimensionalities, which, they almost won the war.
Yes, right.
As military strategists know, had we not studied the structure of uranium and had frightened people by exploding an atomic bomb, they would have won the war. So you wonder if intelligences, and I think they are, that manifest as UFOs are questioning atomic explosion, they might be, it's a hindsight thing. It is probably better that the elitist Axis forces did not win World War II. But I think we need to backtrack and look a little bit more carefully at nuclear fission and fusion, because sometimes in an emergency situation, you do things that later on you don't understand how you could possibly have done, and I think the explosions on civilian targets are that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would. If the Germans were able to utilize this VRIL, what is to say that some other country or some other group couldn't do the same thing and start another world war all over again?
They can, and I think there is a group of people that or a society of people that are working non-governmentally, who are working on some of these ideas, not necessarily derived from German ideas, but also Japan, the other Axis force, was working on, physicists were working on the structure of mass. and the physicist named Dukaya, his last name I cannot remember his first name. So there is nothing to prevent people who escaped detection from working on these ideas wherever they are, whether they're in South America or Africa or next door to you. There is nothing to prevent an independent person from working on these, and I think that people should work independently on some of these things, because we can't let knowledge of the cosmos be dictated by limited governmental structures. I think that is a very dangerous thing.
Especially if they're going to use it for evil, you know?
That's right.
You know? Well, I wanted to look at a couple of your pictures here. You have a couple of Men in Black pictures that you
yes.
sent me. The first one was the woman. Did you want to look at the woman first or the car?
Let's look at the woman first if you want to there.
Okay, I'm bringing up that photo right now. So okay, I've got it up.
Okay, the history of this photo is that during the time that this photo was taken, I was receiving telepathic guidance to go to various areas of New York City which also have some of the strange time strange and density strange characteristics that you find on other islands like Oak Island. And I had been guided to go to West 8th Street between 6th and 5th Avenues on a Sunday morning. And I was just standing there. I took pictures in other locations as well, and you'll see the other one later. And as I was standing there, a woman came from behind me very quickly, passed by me, and as I looked, she was dressed all in black, with a long black skirt, and there was an orange light under her feet. And so I quickly took a picture. I had my camera there because I was going to take pictures. And then I thought, I must get her face. So she turned the corner onto 6th Avenue, and I walked very quickly. And I got in front of her, and by putting the camera against my back and pointing at her, I was able to get her face, which is on the left side of this picture. And then on the right side, there is a hank of hair with blood or a red substance running down through it in the right-hand side of the picture. I was really rattled by this experience, particularly by seeing the orange light. And even if you're investigating these things, you have been taught by the society this can't happen. The person like this can't happen. So these were 35 millimeter pictures. And when they were developed, and I saw this picture, and I saw the face, but I also saw the blood or red substance running down through this hank of hair on the right-hand side, I was frightened. And I put away that package of pictures and didn't look at it again for about a week or 10 days because I knew that I had something very strange, and I wasn't sure exactly what it was. This is one of the pictures, and I call it a woman in black because she was in black. You just see her, the upper part of her body in the black dress, but she had a full-length black dress on.
So what does she represent, though? I mean, yes, you call her a woman in black, but what does she actually represent?
She represents unknown apparitions that look solid, and aspects of the supernatural. When I saw the blood coming down through this on the photograph, I was scared because I thought maybe it's like a vampiric thing, because there are these legends, folk legends, that the vampires or the Lufguru can make itself known by using blood and other substances. So I thought maybe that's why this is on the right-hand side of the photo. But, you know, I know that these things are unusual. I don't know exactly what it represents, except it's saying to me that some of the older folk legends are based on people's actual experiences.
Well, I'm bringing up this next photo now. This is the car. So can you tell us a little bit about the car?
Yes. This was during the period of time that I was being guided to go to various places. This is on 8th Avenue in New York. And I was walking down 8th Avenue. This is not in the morning. This is another day, and this is late afternoon. And a black limo slowed down and went around the block several times as I was walking. And I thought, that looks like those black limos that people say they see. So I took a picture of it. I took several pictures of it. And on one picture, you do see this swatch of dark energy in front of the car, which it isn't, I looked at it carefully, it's not anything blowing by or anything like that. And it's only on one frame. The other frames of the car, I think one or two, are normal photos. But this shows the dark energy. And I could not see, and you don't see in this photo, who is driving the car.
Very strange, very strange. So, Eugenia, where you go from here? What's your plan moving forward? What you going to study? What are you hoping to do?
I'm hoping to get more documentation of these phenomena, and also to study what happens in some of the areas which are gravitationally unusual, where people have seen apparitions and UFOs, because I find that if I bring ordinary equipment into these areas, the equipment will show effects, exactly as people have spontaneously reported. Effects to batteries, to clocks, and also effects to the human body, effects to coordination. In one of the areas near Cairo, New York, in the Catskills, the owners of the property, it used to be a tourist attraction because it had signs that said, water runs uphill here,
right,
and things like that. But it also affected the balance of people, and people were stumbling around and falling. And so it is those areas. I just want to see what happens in that area. A friend and myself did take some pictures, and there is like an energy around the body, like the aura becomes visible in a couple of those pictures, but it's not defined. And we didn't have enough time to stay there because we were going into a boarded-up tourist house, and the owners of the property were not happy with us doing that, of course, because they had restricted the area.
Wow. Well, listen, it's always just an amazing conversation with you, Eugenia. I appreciate you coming back a second time. I was so sorry that our first show kind of got lost, so I appreciate you taking the time to come back again.
Well, thank you.
I'll have this show. I've got numerous copies now, the way that I shoot things, so there's no way this show will be lost. So,
oh, great.
Definitely want to have you back sometime, and I'll let you know when the edited video is up online and ready to be viewed.
Okay, great.
All right. Well, listen, you have a fantastic weekend, and don't let anything happen for the rest of this Friday the 13th.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Eugenia.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it, folks. Eugenia Macer-Story. She's just got a lot of knowledge in this area. Some of the things that she talks about seem really far out there, but the way she talks about it, you know, she just has put a lot of time and study into this. So who's to say? Who's to say? We don't have the answer, I don't think, quite yet of what UFOs actually are. I mean, everybody I talk to has their own opinion, and until they decide to land and meet and greet us, we'll still be guessing, I guess. All right. Anyway, thanks everybody for joining tonight. Look forward to seeing you all again on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Central, www.topicufo.com. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, go to the website, and there's a link there that you can click on and send us an email, and we'd love to have you on to talk about anything related to UFOs. All right? Very good. Thanks, everyone, and we will see you next time.